A very good morning to all. Today we'll start a new chapter, chapter number 11, studying the past. So here in page number 67, you can see Agatha and her father. So Agatha wants to know about her past. So for this, father shows some old photographs. So here we can say that this old photographs is a source of history, like it's a historian tool which tells us about the past. So in this chapter, we are going to discuss about history and the tools that are used to know more about history. In page number 67, you can see a question. The question is, can you think of some other things which Agatha can reach out to in order to know about her childhood? So this answer you have to write it by yourself. Now let's move on to the topic. So before that, we should be familiar with these words, that is past, present and future. Past is something that is used to talk about the things that had already happened or the time which is gone by. For example, your old photographs. So these photographs shows you how you looked in the past, and we use words like yesterday, last month, last year and so on. Next word is present. That means the things which are happening now. For example, your recent pictures. So they show how you look now. And we use word like today. Next one is future. That means the time that is yet to come. For example, when you plan for a picnic or when you plan to visit your friend's house. So these are the times that is yet to come. And we use words like tomorrow, a week later and so on. So this was about past, present and future. Now here in page number 68, you can see a table. The heading is, how have things changed with time? So you can see here 3 columns and 3 rows. In first column, the heading is, when your grandparents were as old as you are now. Second column, the heading is, when your parents were as old as you are now. And the third column is about you. And here in the first row, the heading is, means of going to school. Second row, keeping in touch with people in another country. Third one, spending leisure time. So now you have to fill this table. So first place you have to write how your grandparents used to go to school. The next column you have to write how your parents went to school. And in the third column you have to write about you. So everyone might be having some different answer. So here you can write, grandparents used to walk long distances to go to school. And in the case of your parents, you can write they used to go by local buses and by their own cycles. And in the third column, you can write that you go to school by your school bus or your own convenience. So you might be having different answers. So you can write your own answers also. Next column, it's keeping in touch with people in another city. So you have to write how your grandparents, parents and you keep in touch with people in another city. So your grandparents might have used inland letters and postcards. So here you can see a picture of inland letters. So here you write the to address and at the back you write the from address and the body is written on the other side. So your grandparents, they might have used inland letters and postcards, and your parents, they might have used land phones and telegrams. And now we have many facilities like we have emails, we have mobile phones and other social mediums to be in touch with people living in another city. And the third one is, you have to write how your grandparents used to spend their leisure time, and also your parents, how they used to spend their leisure time. And now you have to write about your spending the leisure time. So this is an activity which you have to do it in your notebook and then you had to submit in teams. So here you can see the changes with respect to time. So studying about the past is known as the history. So let's see what do you mean by history. History is studying about the past, and we can also say that it is made up of events which has already happened. For example, the things that has happened in the past, it all forms your history. And it's not just a single person, but a group of people can also have a common history. For example, the people of India, they have a common history that is related to our country. So, it's not a single person that have a history, but a group of people can also have a common history. And we know that our country has many events that has happened at different period of times. And when an event happens, there are three things to be known. They are what happened, when did happen, and where it happened. So the events can be the happenings in a person's life, in society, in our country, in our world, or on earth, or in universe. So we can define history. History is the study of our past, and it is made up of events that had already happened. Now, how do we study history? We study history by using various tools. So, the historians are the people or expert who study about the history, and they use different tools. These tools are like timelines or old books, pictures, so many other. Now, let's understand what does this timeline means. So, we have already discussed that the historians use different tools, and timeline is one of the important tool that is used by historians to study about the past. It is an arrangement of events and dates of the past in the order in which they took place. Now, here you can see the picture of a timeline. This way of counting was derived from the European countries, and the historians, they used the birth of Jesus Christ as the reference or the beginning point of the calendar, and it is marked as 1 AD or 1 CE, and AD means Anno Domini, that means in the year of Lord Jesus Christ, and nowadays instead of AD we use CE, that means Common Era. Now here suppose we say 500 AD or 500 CE, that means 500 years after the birth of Jesus Christ, and we write 500 AD or CE. That means AD means Anno Domini and CE means Common Era. And you can see that we move forward in this timeline. Now we are in the year 2021. So we can say that 2021 years after the birth of Jesus Christ. That means 2021 AD or CE. Next thing, for example, this is 1000 BC or we say 1000 BCE. So here BC means before Christ and BCE means before the Common Era. So if we are saying 1000 BC, that means 1000 years before the birth of Christ. So we are moving backward. But nowadays instead of BC we use BCE, that means before the Common Era. So if we say 1000 BCE, that means 1000 years before the birth of Jesus Christ. So this is an example of timeline where you can see the events and dates of the past. They are arranged in such a way in which they took place. So these tools helps the historians to study about the past. Now let's discuss the different measures of time that are used by the historians. You can see here year, decade and century. So year is a period of 365 days, or we can say 366 days in the leap year. Next one is decade. That means it's a period of 10 years. The last one is century. That means it's a period of 100 years. So these are the different measures of time that are used by the historians. The next topic is sources of history. So, these are various objects that are used by the historians to study about the past. You can see here the picture of old pottery, painting, the written source and monuments, coins, and there are many buildings, monuments, old photographs. These all are sources of history. That means these are the objects which are used by the historians to study about the past, and it is also known as the historian's tool. So, through these objects we come to know about the development and changes that has happened in the past. So, in simple term we can say that historian's job is to ask questions, that is how it happened, when it happened and why it happened, and they use different historians tools and they examine the evidences that they found. So, this was about history, timeline and the different measures of time. That's all for today. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you.